there were charrettes done with the artists, and a lot of the artists said, you know, we want space to create. Anna Maria is already in the building with some of her art ideas and thoughts. I'm a little concerned with allowing artists to do anything they want out of their homes. I would love to have an artist living next door to me selling her paintings, but I'd have a problem with somebody with a kiln working in the house next to me. I'm pretty sure that's why some of those ordinances are put in place. So we need to look at some of that. And then if we truly want to move forward with the CDGB monies for this building like we originally, again, that came to us last minute. That came to us, you know, we got some input. We didn't vet that. We vetted it with the people in this room. That's the only people we heard from. Then you did a couple charrettes, and I understand they were the same people. You know, we really didn't do a lot there. After talking to people, you know, there's shuffleboard courts at the towers that aren't used. There's a lot of different things going on. And I just think that, you know, I personally, when I approved that $200,000, I didn't have all the information. I didn't have everything that we know today. And if we truly wanted to be more arts, you know, I'm comfortable with moving forward with the structure, the inside of the building, and then coming back and looking at options if indeed we want to keep a portion of the shuffleboard courts. But, you know, that's something that, again, you know, if we put shuffleboard courts in there and we spend money, they need to be used. You know, if there's shuffleboard courts across the street that are in good condition and aren't being used, and those are some of the people that play shuffleboard living in that building, I really want to look at the best options for this building.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you. A couple of quick lightning fast bullet points. Number one, will the CRA be relocating their offices from J Street into this building?
No.
Has that been a consideration?
No.
Is there a reason why? Is there not sufficient space for them to do that?
Their lease is still active on the structure they have. We never talked about moving them into this building.
But it's really for the arts.
Okay. I guess the other question I have, actually is more of a statement, maybe a consensus. When we're supposed to be meeting with the CRA pretty soon? Joint meeting?
It's been canceled a couple times. I don't know where we are on that.
Okay.
It hasn't gone anywhere. The CRA has not approached us again on the subject that they wish to discuss with the commission.
Yeah, I'd like, you know, I just want to throw this out there, you know, I had an interesting, actually, an animated conversation with the residents the other day. We were talking about amenities here in the city and how we need more amenities. And we talked about the beach, we talked about the golf course, we talked about some of the new parks, the playgrounds, whatever. And the insistence was from this resident was, if you keep building amenities, people are going to move. They're going to line up at the door, they're going to move into Lake Worth, and they're going to eradicate our blighted neighborhoods. And of course, I think we all might agree on the space that there's really no evidence of that taking place right now. I think the same discussion or concept or vision or whatever it is centered around this discussion of the arts. And going back to what Mayor Trello said, we really need to have a working plan with some detail to it. But as the CRA is concerned, as far as the CRA is concerned, I would be interested to know what percentage of the city is encompassed within the CRA district. And I would like to start having some real serious conversations with the CRA about what they've actually done to eradicate blight in this city.
Let's
Well, I
take
just,
that.
this is CRA's on the table tonight.
No, this is really this issue here with the shuffleboard court,
Well, the
so.
CRA's here, we're looking for us to support them in another way. So I think it's a relevant point. I just want to go on the record as saying I think this is something we need to be having a conversation about, because we're talking in one context about eliminating blight and improving our community through a program such as this, okay? And I'm just, you know, while we're having a conversation about doing things that can improve the community, I'd like to throw that out there for everybody to think about when we finally catch up with the CRA in a joint fashion. Thank you.
Commissioner Zerby?
Just one last comment for me. I would that, you know, the shuffleboard courts themselves are really just strips of concrete that have paintings on them that say, here's where, you know, if we get points. There's not a lot to those. they're easy to adjust or convert or use. I mean, you can still protect them if you had something going on top of them. They're easy to morph, so what to do with them tonight, I don't think that the decision has to have relevancy to this evening. So that we can find out over time and vet this out in another. I think, what's the obligation of a particular usage based on this grant application that would restrict this building from what it's currently doing?
The interior will be used as an arts and cultural venue,
But,
and that's one of the requirements of the grant.
and still, at this point in time, it's used by just only our staff, or there's other things going on there?
We have our staff, but there's other meetings that take
We
place.
have had meetings
Yeah,
there ourselves.
There's things that occur there now.
It was-
Arts and
it-
cultural.
Right, and there's still plenty of things that would go on that would not preclude those from happening.
Correct.
You just have a much nicer building.
But a much nicer venue to have it, because I went in there and that place still, even though it's been fixed up some,
It's pretty tired.
it was way tired even before. So from my perspective, I look at things from a structural standpoint, not how bad it was, but what it can be to make this happen and still have our options open to us. So I brought up the timing of this because I've heard too that, again, this last minute stuff is certainly not the way, and I understand that eyes weren't looking at this way and an opportunity came up. This idea has been brewing, we've talked about this, I've seen these things, and I actually thought, well, here's something that will be coming along, and all of a sudden it's like, well, here's something that could really help this idea, and here we are sitting here tonight.
I apologize for that.
So, and I know, I don't want to rehash that, the point I'm trying to make is that I think with this still, even though we would dedicate it towards cultural and arts activities, it doesn't preclude a lot of some of the other things that we've had there. We can still have other meetings. It's just the preponderance of its use needs to be for that activity.
That's correct.
Correct.
Okay, so if we have an opportunity, and there's no guarantee that this grant will be awarded.
No.
There is no guarantee.
So is the acceptance of the lease conditional to the grant being awarded?
There is a default term that it's not used
So,
for that purpose.
so if we're not successful with this grant, then we're back to our drawing board again,
Exactly.
right? So I think if we understand this as a compromise here, an opportunity for this to be something nicer, I would support dealing with the building. The rest of the functionality of it, we still have opportunities.
Agree, I agree. Vice Mayor?
I remember the third thing that I wanted to ask earlier. We were conveyed some land over along the tracks, the old Thies beer distribution center. And I know there was some discussion about utilizing that in a very real way related to the arts. Where are we with that, and why is that building maybe not being, other than it's gonna require a lot more work?
We've actually had several entities approach us about doing some monumental art production and facilities there. We have an RFP, I believe, if it's not out on the street, it should be out soon, for that facility to bring back some concepts to see what people are willing to do, because there's been some people in the city that have some things going on, as well as some folks outside that have talked about. And again, I just want to impress, this isn't like all of a sudden we said, hey, let's do this. In the context of really pushing arts across the tracks, something going in there of a monumental art production facility, something happening here, they were very interested in the discussions about the artist loss. The perceptions outside the city by people looking to come in here and do art is a lot different than the conversation that's taking place right here tonight. It's kind of amazing. But that'll be something that we would be bringing those proposals back to you to see what's even out there as part of this overall discussion about what we're doing with arts.
You have a follow-up? Vice
Just a
Mayor?
final comment, and Commissioner Zuri, as I recall, that we have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on that shuffleboard board. When they brought up the issue of the Day Labor Center, that building was have been condemned, and was condemned, and previous administrations saw fit to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to bring it back to its current state.
The courts themselves.
Oh, I'm talking about
No.
So,
You were talking about-
just to the courts, there's ADA issues.